Good afternoon, everyone. Being a police officer for nearly 20 years, I've knocked on many a door to give a family the most awful news that a loved one is dead. The horror, the heartbreak, the grief of the news that you have just delivered changes lives in an instant. I never expected to find myself on the other side of that door. However, on the 26th of November 2018 at 4:30 p.m, I was. An ashen-faced traffic officer told me that my brother had been killed that afternoon. Paul had been hit by a HGV while on his mountain bike. I've relived that day, that moment, over and over again. I best describe it as the day that my flame was blown out. This is the only way I can describe this, because up until that point, life was great from all aspects. Family life was amazing, work was great, everything was heading upwards and onwards. That day I had been cooking dinner when I was told Paul was dead. I recall the officer taking the saucepan from my hand and helping me to a seat, before going through all the details he had to give me. But then if that news was not awful enough, more was to come, in being told that the driver had tested positive for drugs. Sitting down, listening to all that I was being told to me, and now looking back and thinking of the families I have sat with in that same situation, it certainly brings home the impact of that knock on the door. Being surrounded by the grief from the death of a loved one, while also having to deal with everything that goes with this, is just so hard to comprehend. But things have to be done. The funeral, Paul's house and his possessions. Then on top of this, the awfulness of going through a court case. I had never experienced emotions like these. My grief turned to anger, which in time turned to hatred, pure, unadulterated hatred. I had never felt this way in my life, and it was truly awful. It took time, but I learned that talking helps. It helps so much to unburden yourself of those emotions, that grief, that anger and that hatred. Yes, there are still bad days, some very, very bad days, but it's a case of learning how to deal with them and not letting them take over. The support from groups and from friends and family is unmeasurable. Just over 2 years have passed now. We're approaching the 3rd anniversary of my brother's death. And I have asked many people who have been unfortunate enough to experience what I have, whether my flame will ever relight. No one can actually answer that, because we do not know the answer. I can only hope, with the support of family, friends, and the amazing people involved in groups such as RoadPeace West Midlands, that I may one day be able to have my flame burning bright once more. Thank you.